Come with me to a magical place where being labeled the Pork Queen is a compliment, where being nice is just a way of life, and where all leaders of the free world must pass through. Welcome to Iowa. Whether you're a current Iowan, an Iowa expat, or an Iowan at heart, this show is for you. This is the Iowa Podcast. Real Iowans, real talk, no drama. From the Brady Dental Care Studio, I am Justin Brady, and Bondurant. We need to talk about Bondurant because something crazy is going on in Bondurant with almost 2x population growth from 2010 to 2020. Of course, we have Mayor Elrod, Doug Elrod, Mayor of Bondurant, in the studio to discuss just that. Thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Thank you for the invite.
So a lot of nuttiness going on in Bondurant to equate to a 2x growth in 10 years. That's kind of crazy. So we're going to talk about that. But before we do, everybody, are you tired of us bringing in incredible Iowans? Are you tired of that yet? If you're not tired, then go find the show, The Iowa Podcast. It's on all your favorite podcast players, and make sure to subscribe. Then share it with a neighbor. We'd appreciate that. So, Mayor Elrod, thanks so much for coming on the show. That is the first thing. It is, I'm not wrong, right? Almost 2x population growth in 10 years.
Yeah, 91% by population, yeah.
So let's start really broadly here. What happened? I mean, it might be a bunch of things, but what's that big reason? And you can be 100% truthful. Maybe it's like this big family that moved in and they had like 10,000 people in the family. But no, realistically, what happened?
Yeah. It's just a combination of a lot of different things. First things first, I live in a great community. We have a lot of great people that are very interested in getting to know each other, and knowing who their neighbors are and their kids, and there's a lot of interaction. We are a metro community directly tied to Des Moines. You have all of the benefits of a large metro area, but we're a smaller community on the outskirts. So it's very attractive to new families, especially with young families, that want all of the amenities, but yet still a quiet and close neighborhood. And it only takes 15 minutes to 20 minutes to get anywhere in Des Moines. So it's just a great location for the city. That
is a really good point. You think of Bondurant, smaller town, smaller community, and you're like, well, there's not like a big entertainment district, but it's a good point. You are close to other cities that offer some of that stuff, and so you just don't have the taxes to pay for it all.
That is one of the challenges of growing to the amount that we are, for sure.
Yeah. So job creation, you sent us some of this over ahead of time, 3,000 jobs since 2017, which is also incredible. Now, I do have to ask, obviously, Amazon made a big splash in Bondurant, which was a huge win for you. How much of Amazon actually was, how much of those jobs did Amazon bring in?
Quite a few of those jobs that we're referring to at 3,000. They have two different facilities in Bondurant. One is a large distribution facility, and another one is a sortation center. So the majority of those jobs were provided by Amazon. However, having said that, there are a number of other businesses who have also joined in our community that are providing jobs as well. So it's more than just Amazon. We're very proud in that fact. I'll tell a little bit of a story on Amazon. We're very lucky and very fortunate to have them join our community, and they've been fantastic partners with us in donations through local community organizations and different events, and they're great to have around Bondurant. I will say that it was a concerted effort by the city council in partnership with the school district to attract industrial projects to the community. The school system was growing, such to the point, just like the community, where they're trying to figure out how to accommodate all the new students in the community.
Oh, that's a good problem.
And so, years ago, they approached the community and forecasted the need for two different bond referendums within a period of 5 years or so from one another. I believe the first one was going to be 20 million. The second one was going to be 25 million, something along those lines. The partnership between the two organizations was we wanted to attract industrial projects and commercial projects because we can add additional valuation to the bankroll for both organizations without adding additional burden by adding additional students to the community by attracting industrial and commercial projects. So it was a fantastic win for Bondurant and Bondurant Community Bondurant Farrar Community School District to find such a partner that we did in Amazon.
Yeah, we'll talk about kind of the positive fallout from that announcement, but also for those wondering, there's a new announcement for the park. You're doing like an ice thing and a splash pad, an amphitheater. We're going to talk about that as well. So there are lots to go through, but you mentioned something interesting that with Amazon coming in there, which kind of set off a chain reaction, is basically what I'm hearing. What are some of the positive fallout? What is some of that chain reaction that came in? Because you have a big brand like Amazon. That's a cool name. Everyone is used to the box with the little blue ribbon on top, right? Everyone's used to that. So that does raise some eyebrows and it brings some attention your way. And so what was the chain reaction? Like, what is Amazon? You mentioned they're doing things in the community. I think a lot of people would want to know what they're doing, how they're making contributions, and what other businesses are like, you know what, I think we should go to Bondurant too. What happened?
Yeah. There's a lot of good. I'll say that has come out from Amazon and them joining the community. First things first, to your point, it's notoriety. Everybody knows that the Amazon brand. Just about everybody I know uses them and orders stuff and gets stuff directly delivered to their home. So it's a convenience. And having the first distribution facility in Iowa was huge for just notoriety for the community. Mm-hmm. The level of involvement that they've had, I'll give you an example. So through a grant that we received from Prairie Meadows and others, I should say, we created a block party in a box. It's a trailer that is fully outfitted with all the things that you might need for a block party. And Amazon donated the tables that are located within that trailer, for instance. It's a whole conglomeration. I can't point to just one item. Yeah. There's a lot of different opportunities that they've partnered with us and individual community organization, that has really been a value add for the community.
Now, were there things you needed to do from a city stand? And then I want to ask about other businesses that came in later because you mentioned that. But were there things that you needed to do structurally to prepare for a big move like that? And obviously, the whole show is not going to be by Amazon, but it is a pretty big deal. So were there things the community had to do? And then again, what were those other businesses that came in as a result? Yeah.
So as far as what we had to do to prepare, infrastructure was a huge project, and fortunately through a grant we received through Iowa RISE grant, we were able to fund the majority of the infrastructure needs for the facility. So that included several different roads and land acquisitions for these easements, things of that nature, for being able to, and some new interchanges, light interchanges, things of that nature. So yeah, it's multi-million-dollar investment in just infrastructure, and thank you to the state for their partnership for us to complete that project. As far as new businesses that have come into town, I don't know that there's any businesses that have come to Bondurant specifically because of Amazon.
Right.
But we've had a whole host of different businesses that have come into town as well, and it's I would say it's more than just Amazon. From warehousing to office, use, I would say. We've seen a huge insurgence of small commercial growth in the last year and a half or so. So a lot of small business owners are hanging their shingle up and
Yep.
providing services to our residents, and that is hugely appreciated. Largely Bondurant historically has been kind of considered a bedroom community where we would sleep and live in Bondurant, but then come to Des Moines or other areas to work and then return. And the opportunity to add additional small commercial growth to our community is providing additional services and options for our own residents to keep their money locally.
Sure, that makes sense. Now I do wonder, one of the things, now I've driven by several times that warehouse and there's no traffic problems, everything's smooth, but is that a future concern? Because, Amazon runs a lot of trucks. They are a big logistical operation. Are there community concerns with, as Bondurant grows, as Amazon grows, are there any traffic concerns? And maybe there aren't, I don't know.
Yeah. That was a big focus when we first were approached about the possibility of the business coming to town. First things first, we didn't know who the business was when we first learned about it, but understanding the use of that space and traffic was a large concern, especially for the neighborhood that's right across the street from the building. Amazon has been a great partner in coordinating a lot of their incoming and outgoing trucks during off-peak hours of road use.
That's interesting.
That has been huge. And frankly, I live probably a mile away from the Amazon facility, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 2 miles, I guess. But I personally haven't seen an uptick in truck traffic, and I've never thought to this day, since they've opened up, have I second guessed the decision to have them come into town.
Yeah, and I've driven by there several times during what I think most people would consider peak times, morning, evening drives. And I don't live in Bondurant. I live on the east side of Des Moines, so I'm kind of close. I'm kind of an unofficial Bondurant person, but it's almost like you see they're there, you see that's activity, but it almost doesn't go on the road for some. So to your point, it is weird how they have figured out logistically to keep roads clean, because for whatever they're doing, it seems to be working. Now, it was really neat. I actually like this. Your taxes have been reduced in the city. When some people see growth like this, the taxes go up, but that's the opposite case. And I don't know if this is related, but you had a clever deal with Amazon where they had the property tax, I think it was property tax abatement, but it quickly slides down 10% every year. What's the current status of that?
I don't recall offhand what year in the graduated cycle that they're in. But that was another huge partnership that we had with them. Is in the first building, they asked us what we thought about tax abatement, and
that's nice.
Yeah, and how we responded is, at the time we have two programs for commercial industrial tax abatement, and so we offered those two, and they said, okay, well, of the two, which would you prefer? And our response was, well, given the two, the one option is 100% abatement for a 3-year time period, and the other one is a 6-year graduated, where it starts and it goes lower and lower. And from year one, there's a higher influx of tax dollars that come in with the second option. And we told them we thought it might be a good idea to go with the second option, because our school district could use a big shot in the arm when it comes to the building projects that they need to go through to expand.
Yeah, so let's talk about the school district a little bit. How is enrollment? Obviously, schooling and the school choice has been a big discussion in the last couple of years, and we're obviously not going to get into politics of that. But as far as Bondurant for our, because that's the school district, are you seeing an uptick in enrollment? Are you seeing a plateau? What does it look like?
Well, you'd have to talk to the school district directly. I'm not sure that I'm in touch with enrollment numbers aside from growth. I have heard in discussions that they are tracking growth and population increase just exactly like we are to anticipate their needs. I will say that aside from that, though, I'm not exactly sure where we're at in light of some of the recent changes with a voucher program.
Yeah, and so what about the graduation rate? Because I know that's one of the things you guys are really proud of is the graduation rate compared to state averages.
Yeah, our graduation rate is 95% in the school district, and that's a stat to be proud of. I think the state average is just slightly above 90%, so we're outpacing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. So I want to talk a little bit about also have residents seen a growth in value of their property with all this growth? Like, what does it look like to be a resident in Bondurant right now?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I think of all of the state has seen property valuations increase. Mm-hmm. And, for some, depending on your situation, that's a good thing. And a different situation, that's not such a good thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But
some people love it. Some people hate it. Yeah.
Yeah. We are seeing higher values. I would say that the city has just crossed the $1 billion mark in property valuations for the city. So that's a huge win. And when I think about property valuations, I think about incoming tax money that comes into the city. And so first things first, when I think through that, I have to remind myself that it's not the city's money; it's the residents' money who's paying these taxes, right? So when it comes to the taxes, we have taken an overt, strategy to as we get a pay raise, we need to pass that pay raise along to our residents. So since 2017, we've reduced property taxes by nearly 19% in town, and just a couple of years ago, we passed the largest tax reduction in Bondurant history. And a lot of that is I think about it this way. At work, when you receive a pay raise, if you receive a percentage pay raise, if you take a portion of that and you put it directly into savings, you never even see it. You never even realize that it's gone.
Sure.
We're doing the same exact thing when it comes to property taxes. When we have additional money come on for property valuations and we see the influx in the incoming property tax dollars, we're taking a portion of that, putting it directly aside for our residents as a means of returning the money to where it belongs.
Now, do you see people coming to Bondurant from surrounding states or areas throughout the nation because property value, because housing prices are, it's not crazy to say housing prices across the nation, especially in bigger cities, are going absolutely crazy. And with COVID, people moved out of the bigger cities. Did you see a lot of those people moving out of bigger cities coming to Bondurant for housing?
Yeah, I've got a neighbor that moved here from California during the middle of COVID, really? And that's a good opportunity. We have fiber optic network throughout all portions of town.
Oh wow!
And so that was a big win and an initiative for us. But it provides an opportunity for people to take advantage of remote work, and if they can locate their family and their life in a community that's a tight knit, little slower pace but has all the amenities of big city living, then it's a win-win.
Yeah, the remote work thing is interesting, isn't it? How and so do you credit the remote work and the ability to work anywhere with some of that growth then? Or maybe in part a small percentage?
Not specifically. I think a lot of it that was funded, or that's kind of driving the population growth, is really land availability. And we had a lot of available land. We're super close to the metro, and some of that super close ground is starting to get gobbled up in other communities.
That's true. Yeah, so, that's a good point.
It's just another option. I wouldn't. I'm not classifying that our opportunities are better than other communities, but it's just that's a metric in the formula.
You're the mayor, though. You can say that if you want. You can say we're better than everybody else. Yeah. Everyone will understand. That is a good point, though. Some people want to take advantage, like we talked about earlier. They want to take advantage of some of the stuff in the neighboring cities, but also, you want a cheaper property, something to buy, something to get a house on, start your family, and so it's kind of a best of both worlds scenario in that sense. So who is moving in to Bondurant? Do you have a certain demographic that's really moving in rapidly? 91% is kind of crazy. So who are these crazy Bondurant people?
Yeah, so I guess when it comes to demographics, the average age, median age of resident in Bondurant is 31 years old.
Wow.
So that's
Wow.
a younger population, and we're also seeing a lot of young families or young individuals who are just starting the family process.
Sure. Yeah.
So some of that growth is also birth rates and whatnot. But our median age is a fairly young demographic.
Yeah, no kidding. So any plans then to cater to that in the near future? Obviously we're going to talk about the city park, but are there plans to create entertainment districts? Or because this is actually, I would imagine, a tough choice, because it's all right, people move here because it's quieter, it's not insane, it's not insanely busy. That is a big selling point the older I get sometimes. So do we create this entertainment district and make things loud and busy? Do we keep things the way they are and grow quietly? Do you have those discussions, and is that a tough choice?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll come right back to that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to start a little bit earlier in the process
Please.
to answer that question. So anytime a city goes through such a population growth explosion like that we've been experiencing,
it's crazy.
It's important that we're very mindful and we're very proactive in looking ahead to the future and anticipating what that growth might look like. Our philosophy is let's consider and solve the questions and problems that we anticipate we will face in the near future. One of those activities that we went through is we had to refresh our comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is really kind of the plan for the city. It sets the vision for where we're going, and it has lots of different components. I mean, we've created a master sewer plan, a stormwater master plan, an arts wayfinding culture plan.
Wow.
There's lots of components to that, and all of these individual components and the comp plan itself we were very intentional about including as many people in that process as we possibly could. So included within that our city officials, city staff. We have lots of boards, so the city council, planning and zoning, board of adjustments. We had the school board involved. We had members of the chamber and individual business owners represented within that. So the more the better. It was our mentality. We had very large rooms filled with people as we're discussing the thought process and vision for where we want to go in Bondurant. And so the level of involvement and feedback was just absolutely fantastic. And more than anything, the driving culture mentality that we heard over and over again from our residents was we want to maintain, no matter how big we get, we want to maintain our hometown feel.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep. And so, and then specifically to your question in regard to parks and what type of amenities the city offers, is really we heard a lot about from younger new residents and younger families that they want opportunities to spend time with their family and their friends outdoors recreating. So there was an opportunity. So City Park downtown Bondurant has been around for some time, and it's been a project that we've added to. We've bought ground, we've acquired ground in this city block a little bit at a time over the years, and we now have the entire city block devoted to a city park. And as it sits today, it's an absolute wonderful place to spend. There's basketball courts, our farmers market is there, there's a shelter house that can be rented, there's playground equipment, and a lot of people utilize this space. But as we thought through what the needs of our community are today and the demographics of our city, we thought there's opportunities to incorporate some new possibilities with the park. New ways of spending time there, including a splash pad. That was something that was overwhelmingly wanted by our community. So an opportunity for kids to go splash in the water, cool off during the summer. We have space for we're greatly increasing the amount of playground equipment in the park. All new basketball courts
Wow.
to bring them up to speed. We're going to keep the one shelter house we have. We're going to be adding another shelter house, or at least that's the plan at some point in the future. An amphitheater for community gatherings, and an ice ribbon.
Yeah, so this is what you're doing. You're going to grow the city. You're on that growth trajectory, obviously, which is crazy. Like we said, almost 2x in the last 10 years. But you want to maintain, that's almost your vision statement. I don't know what your vision statement is. I didn't look that up, sadly. But it's almost like we want to grow, but not at the expense of maintaining the hometown feel, which is interesting. And so I really like that you paid attention to the residents, and you're keeping that small town feel, outdoors stuff, outdoor activity, and not necessarily focusing on the big metro and like really loud entertainment, focusing on that more community aspect. But we got to ask, what is an ice ribbon? I have never heard of an ice ribbon in my life. What is this? How is it made, and how is it different than an ice rink? I think everybody knows what an ice rink is, but what is an ice ribbon?
Sure. The whole point, the council, when we started talking about City Park and talking about different amenities and things to do there, the line of thinking is can we create an opportunity for the park to be used by our residents throughout all times of the year. And, there's not many people using the basketball courts when there's snow on the ground. So let's find an opportunity to use it during the winter. And so the ice ribbon, I mean, clearly space is at a premium. We only have one block to program the entire city park within. The ice ribbon is essentially how it's arranged in the vision of what it will look like when it's all done. It's a ribbon that goes around the splash pad, and it provides, I don't even recall how wide it is, but it will be space that you can ice skate, and it will be actual ice, and you can kind of go around in a format. In a rink, everybody goes around the rink,
yes,
but it's just a wide open space,
right?
Where this ice ribbon, there's not space in the middle of a rink, let's say, to skate, but you still have the perimeter, so to speak, to be able to ice skate. So
it's less rink, more almost like racetrack look.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe it.
So this is hard for me because I'm not I love ice skating. So the fact that this is opening, like I said, I live on the east side of Des Moines. So the fact that this is opening closer to me is very exciting. How big is it? I think it's 382 linear feet. So if you stack that on top of, it kind of looks like a little mini racetrack, from a bird's eye view. I looked at the plans. If you stack it on top of Metro Ice or West Des Moines new ice, like a standard hockey ice rink, is it roughly the same size? Is it a little bigger? What is it? You're giving me the, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Great question.
Why aren't you an expert
sure
on everything? We're also going to talk about the new Boeing 787 Dreamliner and how it's engineered. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mayor Elrod?
I'm going to need to phone a friend on that one.
That's super funny. But so there's going to probably be skate rentals, I'm assuming, that kind of stuff.
We haven't gotten that far, honestly.
Okay, because it's a few years out, obviously.
Yeah, so this will be, this whole city park will be a multi-phased approach.
Right.
And in the first phase, what we're planning on doing is we're going to be investing in putting the infrastructure underground to be able to one day build the ice ribbon.
What does that look like? Is it cooling? It's not pipes, cooling. Really?
Yeah,
because you need to fill it and drain it.
You got to fill it and drain it. Yeah, and then eventually, we're going to need to acquire the equipment to be able to maintain it.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
And keep it running.
So do you Zamboni something like that outside?
At some point, we probably will need one.
That's crazy. So in the summer, then, what's the plan for that? Is it just going to be covered up with a walking track, or is it just going to be roped off? I'm assuming it's not going to be roped off. What does that look like in the summer then?
Yeah, a good question. There's a whole host of different things we could do with it.
Sure. Okay.
And that'll be part of our Parks and Rec department that will manage that. But right now for phase one, we're putting the infrastructure which will facilitate that later on, and it will be future action during future phasings to actually install it. So it'll be a number of years.
Well, I want it to be next year. So come get going on that, please, because I'm nearby. And then also I should say you guys are adding into that plan like a food truck kind of station too, which is really, really cool. So just our last minute here, what's next? And then, of course, if people want to move to Bondurant or reach out and learn more information, how do they do that, of course?
Absolutely. Well, the second question first. Come out and take a look. We're within 15, 20 minutes. Give us a call. We'd love to spend some time with you and talk to you about the advantages of Bondurant.
I love that small town, right? Small. Give us a call.
Yep.
That's literally how I got you in the studio. I gave you a call and you're like, oh, sure. And then you call me back. You're like, hey, yeah, I'd love to do it. So it's super. I love the small town thing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Absolutely. We pride ourselves in connecting with people. In fact, our city motto is life connecting, and for that exact reason.
That's good.
What's next? Where do I start?
You can break news on this podcast if you want. We love that.
There is a whole list of projects that we have that are ongoing and ones that we're working on in the future. So things as boring as a pavement condition index and creating a table of understanding what's the condition of our streets and how do we get on a schedule to budget making repairs to those in a regular format. To excitement of potentially a new park someday. We have a plot of ground that we have an opportunity to create a regional detention basin that will drain about 500 acres, and so that will result into about a 30 to 36-acre lake.
So maybe a water sport thing is in the future?
Yep, absolutely. We're considering opportunities for kayaking, canoeing,
paddleboarding, stuff like that.
Kind of, another opportunity to intermix commercial and provide space for our residents to gather and interact with each other.
Sure,
it's one of those things that I think we need to have. We've identified we need to do a regional detention, but let's take advantage of it and plan to make it a fun location.
Is that where you're putting the new mayor of Bondurant dunk tank? Is that where that's? No, just kidding. Mayor Doug Elrod, the mayor of Bondurant, of course, Bondurant here in Iowa. Thank you so much for coming on the Iowa podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And to my fellow Iowans, Iowa expats, and Iowans at heart, thanks for listening and subscribing to the Iowa podcast.